Yeah. You can get a trial to their premium. And if you go to your profile under the more button, there is an option to export to PDF, but there's also an option to build a resume. When you do that and you
Interesting.
put in a job title in there, it will actually spit out on the right-hand side of your profile all the keywords that will get you found for that job title.
Welcome to the Tech Guide podcast, everyone. I am the show's host, Ryan Atkinson. Everyone is wanting to break into tech and have a successful career. The only problem is how. We'll use this podcast to sit down with people that have broken into tech, pivoted their career, or have actual advice to young working professionals. Today, we have Derek Iannelli on the podcast to talk about his work with hiring managers and what hiring managers look for in candidates. We also talk about how to optimize your LinkedIn so recruiters can find you. Derek gives gems about this and stuff that I didn't even know about LinkedIn. So definitely tune into that part. And then he finishes with how to network effectively with recruiters to get the job that you want. Make sure to follow or subscribe to this podcast and share it with any other friends that may want a tech guide. You can also learn more about us at techguide.org. Derek, thank you so much for being here. Super excited to have you on.
Ryan, great to be here. Can't wait to give back with you. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, me as well. But before we get into the nitty gritty recruiting and how to stand out, I got to ask an off the field question, off the work type of question, because you're a huge fan of EDM, which is so sick. You the most memorable EDM concert you've been to, or a favorite song that you listen to get the day started?
Yeah, I'm a huge Tiesto fan.
Okay.
And by Tiesto is top of the line for me. Got some others and those types of things. And amazing that you found that in some hole of the universe too, where I had written and said that I like that. That's awesome, Ryan. Thanks.
Yes, it was awesome. So it makes you have you seen them in concert?
I have not. That's on my bucket list, actually. Yep.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I want to go to recruiting now. You've been in multiple roles before. You've been a project manager, a chief information officer, a founder, and even a biblical counselor. Super cool. You then recently moved into the recruiting world in May of 2021. Take us why you wanted to be a recruiter and kind of what your day to day is as a recruiter.
Sure. So officially, it comes out that way on some of my timelines, but I've actually been in full desk recruiting for about 8 years. My other roles allowed me to have some of those access, be in control of that, just
Yeah.
being a chief operations officer type of person. I'll be honest, Ryan, I hated recruiters when I was in IT because for many of the reasons that most people complain about, which is they never get back to you, they placate you. Hey, if something comes up, I will get back to you type of scenarios, and it never happens.
Yep.
And I had somebody who was actually saying to me, you really need to get into this recruiting thing. You refer to people all the time. Why wouldn't you get into this? I'm like, I don't want to be a recruiter. I hate them. And he was relentless. And he actually tracked me down in a networking event and showed me a commission check for placing a candidate. And it was for $27,000. And I was like, I don't hate recruiters anymore. Show me how you did that. And so it totally changed from that point. Today, Ryan, recruiting for me is a calling. I love the entire process. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the talent acquisition situations that's out there. Everybody can speak to those, but I love my recruiter clan. I love my job candidate clan, and I love the hiring manager clan. Everybody's got a job, and my role is I get to put them together and transform lives. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's start with the hiring clan because are these the first people that you're in contact with? Are they coming to you to say, "Hey, we need XYZ candidate," or can you take us through the hiring clan?
Yeah, yeah. So it happens one of two ways. One, they either find out about you and it's a referral, or second, you do dial for dollars, you do marketing, you do branding, all of those other types of scenarios. But yes, once a client comes to us, hey, we have a need. Most businesses hire or 2 to 3 recruiting companies at a time just because of their needs. They don't know the reputation unless there is good branding, and you can look up how they've done in the industry and those types of things. But most companies either solicit or reach out. Personally, how I've gotten clients over the years is having relationships with HR managers. So a
Okay.
lot of my content posting, speaking engagements, even on the podcast that I've been in, I have a huge network of HR managers. And those folks, especially if you help a candidate in an HR position, they're usually reaching right back out to you as well.
Yeah. So they're reaching out to you and they're saying, "Hey, we need to fill this role." And then
Yep.
essentially you go and fill it for them.
So there's actually a discovery process. We want to find out how they felt this role. What efforts have they done before? We've got our standard questions type of scenario, salary. Is this remote, hybrid, all of those types of things? Is there flexibility with the salary? Are you going to be sponsoring? But we have a huge process in even at Mission Box. We call it the talent acquisition process or TAL sequence, where we actually
Cool.
do discovery with the client. We also do weekly updates because sometimes those jobs will change. Sometimes the requirements will change.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking for someone to be a little bit more tweaked in an area versus the candidates we sent. So it's a dynamic process, if I could answer that question for you. It's not a one and done. Hey,
Yeah.
cool. Here's the job description. Many times we got to help them with the job descriptions.
Yep.
One of the things we recently did at Mission Box, for instance, is we standardized a template for job descriptions. This is the minimum amount of information that we're going to need. And most of our job descriptions are based upon how the candidates are going to perceive those and how our recruiters are going to interact with those. Yeah, great question.
And so let's just say like a hiring manager is like, we need just for simplicity, like a senior marketing manager. It's a remote position. They need to
Yep.
have 3+ years of experience. The salary range is $85,000. Um, what do you do then?
So at that point, because I'm the subject matter expert, or my team is the subject matter
Yeah.
experts of this, it is our role to educate the hiring manager, number one, because of the number you passed that. And I know we're just ad libbing and talking through some of this stuff, but 85,000 for a senior marketing manager is actually kind of cheap.
Yeah.
And
Very.
they're going to have a hard time getting candidates to do that. And part of my role is to educate the client and saying, yeah, this is not going to work, utilizing tools like salary and .com and some other places to go, this is not the industry standard for salary. I mean, I'll
Sick.
do it for you, but it's going to be hard. And don't, and again, just be the subject matter expert to go, this is the type of candidate you're going to get. Oh, by the way, for senior level, here's the salary range. A lot of those folks are looking for this. And to also know things, Ryan, like, hey, don't put them through 17 interviews. They're not junior folks. Usually at the senior level, words count in my industry, Ryan, is what I'm sharing with you. And everything counts. Remote means what? And we want to drill into that. Hybrid means what? If you say senior, are you paying senior? Do you understand the market that you're dealing with? It's our role as recruiters to know the market and know our candidates. That way we can educate the hiring managers. Great question.
And so you will go out and then you identify, okay, this is what they want these are the parameters we're going to work with. And then are you just like outreaching cold to them on LinkedIn? Are you emailing people, or like, what are some of the parameters that you look for when you're reaching out to someone to fill a position?
Yeah. So the first thing that we do at Mission Box is we place it on our job board or our career board, which immediately
Okay.
propagates out to job boards and other places as well. Indeed, in some of those, ZipRecruiter in some of those places. Also, we have marketing collateral that automatically proliferates our jobs across some of the social medias with our recruiting coordinator. And yes, our recruiters, the ones that are actually on the ground, some of our commission folks and those types of things, they familiarize themselves with the job description and then they start doing Boolean searches and other types of things with their tools and some of the tools that we provide at Mission Box to find a candidate. And it's real. I mean, there's websites now, Hunter.io.
Yeah.
There is, Recruitum and those types of things that are out there. You can put in small keywords and it'll give you a list of folks that you can grab from. There's also sites that partner with staffing companies that offer candidate and sources, things like clearance jobs and folks like that, that they're very specific for the types of candidates you're looking for. If you were looking for clearance jobs, for instance, in other repositories, whether it be hospitality, logistics, all of those types of fields and industries have their own kind of sourcing methods and where those folks hang out. So for instance, to kind of take that down a road, Ryan,
Yeah.
I'm an information technology recruiter. I probably won't spend a lot of time on Facebook because most of my geek guys are not going to be on there, or geek ladies are not going to be on there. So my venues are going to be Discord, Reddit, and those types of places where those people are hanging out. Does that make sense?
So that makes a ton of sense. And that's actually something I never thought of. So instead of your IT folks are going to be on the Discords, the Reddits, but someone that might be in marketing, they might be on there too, but they might be on LinkedIn. And so
That's
you're
right.
able, yeah. So then you're able to tailor like your approach and actually find real candidates through the channels that
Yes.
they're in.
And again, if in Mission Box and my personal philosophy as well, which is a good marry up, if you're candidate centric, you're going to go hang out where your people hang, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to
Very
be
fair.
cybersecurity focused, you're going to hang out in security forums. You're going to go all of those types of places and be more what I would call sniper focused versus
Yeah. Yeah.
spray and pray type of deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of fishing in like the warm waters and where like these people already hang out at.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But you also have to earn the right to be in those places too, right? Because not everybody's welcome into those places either. Right.
That's interesting. And so let's just say you start like something from like a job seekers. I'm not seeking a job, just put it out there. But I remember when I was searching for a job, I would always a recruiter reaches out to me. Oh, this is so great, but like, oh my god, I need to make sure like my messaging is like perfect. Everything needs to be super formal. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of job seekers feel like that, but like, is there a way that you prefer a candidate to communicate with you? Is it just being open, or how should a job seeker communicate with the recruiter?
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, and I know there's a lot of opinions about this. I'm a real person just like everyone else. I put my pants on just like everyone else does. Again, a recruiter is a broker between the two entities, right?
Yep.
Between the candidate and to the hiring manager. My goal as a recruiter is to prepare the candidate not only for the interviews and those types of things, but also to get out the information to see if their resume is telling me the truth, to see all
Yeah.
the stalking and everything else that I've done out there. The best introductions I have most of the time are first and foremost, people responding to posts. Second, when they do reach out to me, um, there's a lot of talk out there about, hey, fire off your resume, tell them what your skills are. Honestly, Ryan, I get hundreds of those a day. And on
Oh
top
man.
of the resumes that I'm already listening, reading them from people that have applied to things, those become a blur if there wasn't something in place to actually direct them and point them to a place where, hey, let's get your information uploaded and then we'll chat kind of scenario.
Mm,
We are a firm that actually likes to let candidates deselect themselves, qualify themselves. So we'll provide full details minus client. And so when
mm,
people reach out to us, and they do, and they send their resumes, and I understand that model, and I get that's great, but it's actually not a first step with us. And
yeah.
that's a little bit different with a lot of recruiters. Again, they want the resume. Yes, we want the resume. You don't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
anything without the resume type of scenario, but a warm introduction to answer your question directly. I get a lot of, and this is not the way to do it. Hey, if you run across sales and marketing jobs, here's my resume. Send me a few blah, blah, blahs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're right, buddy. I wasn't doing anything today until your message came in type of scenario. Just common courtesy, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I know common courtesy and common sense are no longer common in some areas,
Yeah.
but I would just say treat people how you want to be treated. Like, I mean, even you and I's engagement, when you engaged with me, you had background and details. You had known what I was doing, where I came from. And you were like, hey, I see you're doing amazing things in the recruiting space. What a great way. Why wouldn't I answer a message like that? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So it's not taking like this blanketed approach. It's taking like a personalized approach. And if someone is reaching
Yeah.
out to you, it's like, I love the accomplishments that you've done at like Mission Box. I'm interested in marketing roles, and then a little bit more personalization, like attaching a resume. And that's what
Yeah.
really stands out to recruiters.
It does. It does. And again, they're not expecting something on the front end, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to be working for you type of scenario. There are a lot of good recruiters out there. And again, first impressions are everything.
Yep.
And they will work their guts out for you if you present well. And part of presenting well is just being a human.
I
Right?
love that.
Does that make sense? You got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious too. So you get a resume, the person personalized it. It looks really, or like they personalized their message to you. They send over their resume.
Yep.
What to you, like, what are you looking for in a resume? That's short answer,
Yep.
short question.
Yep. First and foremost is contact information. I see a lot of resumes now where folks are not putting their contact information. The problem with that from
Interesting.
a recruiter perspective is they'll have their name on there, but I don't get a phone number and I don't get an email address. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to get in touch with you if I'm interested in where you're
Yeah.
at?
Yeah.
Of course, a short summary of summarizing their skills, their years in that title that they're particularly looking for, kind of a candidate summary. I'm also looking for certifications. Again, I'm an information technology
Yeah.
recruiter.
Yeah.
I'm looking for certifications. I'm also seeing if they have projects. I'm looking to see if it's a coder and developer, if they have a skill set area where they have all their coding and development skills listed in there.
Yep.
I'm also seeing their longevity with employers. No, don't get me wrong. I'm
Ah,
not one of those job humper guys and immediately discredit folks. We're in the post-COVID stuff, right? There's going to
yeah.
be downsizing, the big box folks, but I'm looking for longevity at a place. And what I mean by that is it could be anywhere from a contract role to a year or so, but I want to see them in that role that they're applying to me for in some form of capacity or fashion. I get resumes all the time, Ryan, where someone wants to pivot into the tech industry and they have all of their barista knowledge, from every coffee shop they've
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
at. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you submitting this to me? I have no idea about any projects, schooling,
Yep.
certifications that you've done. So I hope that answers your question. There is some things I'm looking for. Most importantly, contact information. I want to be able to talk to you and you're the one. Okay. Second is, hey, a short summary. I help a lot of candidates rewrite their summaries because some of
Interesting.
them are vague or they've used ChatGPT or something like that. Hey, I'm looking for a position with such and such. No, lead and be confident with your skills. I have 9 years in Java development. I've been doing this I understand software development lifecycle, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's your little blurb. Just speak out. Make me want to read the rest of your resume, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to ask a question though on the longevity thing. I think it's a
Yep.
super important topic right now because some people glamorize, oh, you should job hop every year, every 2 years. Some people
Right.
are, oh, you should stay in your job for as long as possible type of thing. What's like the weight that you put on that? It sounds like a lot of weight, but like, do you put like, how much weight do you put on that?
Well,
Long-
for me personally, again, remember I'm the broker. So whatever the
Yeah.
hiring manager wants me to do, if they have that philosophy of I don't want job hoppers, the first thing I'm going to do, Ryan, is ask a question. What do you mean by that?
Mhm.
Because it means different things from an age perspective. So
Yep.
old days, when you would look at a resume and somebody was having a job every 3 months type of scenario before we had tech and all these other
Yeah.
types of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, it was a possible good indicator that they weren't reliable, that they had issues in doing some of that. Nowadays, when I'm talking to a hire manager or a client, I want to find out if they're still in that old mentality.
Yep.
And is this an opportunity for me to educate them and going, no, this was a contract position. No, they were taking care of their spouse during COVID or
Mm,
whatever else is going on with those scenarios and going, hey, is this going to be a deal breaker for you? Or I will also push them and go, you do realize that this is a history of a lot of experience and exposure to some amazing things. And maybe they were only there for a year, but they worked at Deloitte
y-
or they were at Accenture, right? And
yeah.
are you
Yeah.
really going to go, oh, job hopper, right? No, you're not going to do that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but there's variables to it. And as a recruiter, I'm not making that decision about who's a job hopper because I'm going to
Yeah.
be talking. Hey, there's gaps in your resume. What's going on here? Can you explain this stuff to me? It really comes down to what is the perception of our client or the hiring manager about job hopping. And for me personally, even though I'm a little bit older generation, I want to find out if they have old thinking when it comes
Mhm.
to where we're at in the economy right now.
That's
Hope
super
I answered
interesting.
the question.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think yeah, it's just a really interesting time right now because like so many people are like, there's a ton of job cuts or like
Yep. Oh,
job
all the
hop.
big box and technology companies are laying off folks because they over budgeted. And I was talking to an ex Meta, ex Facebook, ex Google, ex AWS, all in the title type of thing. And that all happened within 2 years. Am I going to
Oh
go,
no,
hey, job hopper? Right? No, you can see it in the news. It's happening. Right.
yeah, that's amazing. I think yeah, that is really cool because I think the perception that you had on it is like, oh yeah, they might have job top, but they have a ton of experience with like all these different places, and it's
That's
still
it.
just
Right.
taking a shot on them.
And it really is because they bring all that experience with them. And it
Mhm.
might be something new that that company may need. Yeah. Yeah. Great, great way to put that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to shift to LinkedIn because LinkedIn's obviously a huge networking opportunity, building a personal brand. Can you tell us about like the importance of actually building a personal brand when you're searching for a recruit or searching for candidates? Like, do you think like does
Yep.
this person have a personal brand?
Um, one of the things, so I work with a lot of veterans too, and I know you have a heart
Yeah.
for veterans and those types of things. So I've worked with a lot of transitioning veterans. One of the things I can't understand with the transition programs is why they're still telling them to work on their document resumes. The features and functionality with LinkedIn right now, not only do veterans get a free 1 year premium subscription, but it opens them up to be able to have access to create and export a professional looking CV. So first thing about brand is update your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Get your Uncle Ferd picture off there, get your little cat picture off of there, all that other shit, right? We all have seen these things on LinkedIn, right? And so when it comes to that type of stuff, make sure you get your banner up. And again, I know there's a lot of controversy out there, but
Mhm.
again, if I'm a recruiter, I can do Boolean searches with the hashtag of open to work, and those people will pull up because of the tagging that LinkedIn has done. Personal branding, yes, is very important. Get it up to date, keep it up to date, and you can export it. You can also, when people are searching, here's what I tell people. Um, if you haven't updated your LinkedIn, you're missing out about 50% of the recruiting population who are trying to find you for an open position. Second, if you don't have all those keywords that are in your job or where you're headed with some of those things too in your profile, and again, a LinkedIn premium subscription will give you all of that. If you type in a technical recruiter, for instance, it will tell you, hey, we found all of these keywords in your profile. And if you don't have those in there, recruiter again is searching for those terms. And if they're not in your profile, may never land on you type of thing. So coming to pictures and things like that, I've always been I'm not a guy who likes having my picture taken. I don't know about
Yeah.
you, Ryan, but for me, it's like, make sure you're not wearing the party hat with the two Heinekens in it and all that
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
type of stuff, right? But have a kind of professional picture, something where people go, oh, that's you. Get your banner up, make sure it's updated with your latest skills. Another thing that I tell people that a lot of people are not aware of when it comes to personal branding is leave your job well and get recommendations from
Yeah.
vendors, from people you worked with, all of those types of things. I have over 100 recommendations because I've been on LinkedIn for so long. And you wouldn't believe how many people ping that and reference, hey, he does know what he's talking about in IT. Hey, listen to this. He is an awesome recruiter because another candidate said some of those things. Also get people to endorse your skills and be intentional about it. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of elements there. I hope I didn't like fire hose you
Oh,
with
yeah.
some things, but if I went through it, it's like, stop messing with your Word document and your resume paper document thing. Focus on your LinkedIn. It's free for everyone. For
Yep.
veterans, they get LinkedIn Premium for a year. You can get keywords and sourcing codes that recruiters use. A lot of folks forget that there is a product on LinkedIn called Recruiter. And so there's literally made to find those people and the people that you're looking for, getting those keywords. I would spend hours with candidates, Ryan, just putting them through the LinkedIn Premium, spitting it out and sending them the list of all the keywords that, hey, if you wanted to be a senior marketing person, these need to be in your profile, the about, your
Interesting.
endorsings. Even when you're asking people for recommendations, I tell folks, guide folks through that. That's your profile. Hey, Ryan, when you recommend me, please mention the fact that how I sourced, how did you feel when you did business with me as a recruiter? Were you happy? Would you recommend me to your friends? And what set me apart from other recruiters? I guide that. I don't hit the default kind of,
Yeah.
hey, give me a recommendation thing because I'm intentional about those words embedding so that people can see that stuff. I could probably talk a little bit more along that, but usually, again, it's just kind of simple things most people don't know. Another thing that I would add, maybe this is one of your rabbit holes, is about a year ago, LinkedIn made the availability that for the job hoppers or people that were experiencing things, that now you can list that as experience. Hey, I'm in the process of working on my search and those types of things. So when the resume is spit out into the CV, it actually looks professional. And again, as a recruiter, I'm reading that going, oh, the reason why there was a gap is because they were in school. Now I know why versus going, oh, where's this number? Where's the date? And
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
types of things. Right.
Yeah. I think it's pretty amazing because like you always hear about like personal branding and like, oh, like you should have a good personal brand, like make sure your LinkedIn's,
Right.
but you actually went way in depth of the reason why you should. It's because
Yeah.
this is how recruiters find you. And I don't think enough people actually know about like the recruiting platform that
Yeah.
LinkedIn has and the
Right.
like Boolean searches it can put on for like keyword optimization.
Yep.
Is there a resource that someone could find about like the best keywords that they should use? Do you know of one?
Yeah. So we were talking about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can get a trial to their premium. And if you go to your profile under the More button, there is an option to export to PDF, but there's also an option to build a resume. When you do that and you
Interesting.
put in a job title in there, it will actually spit out on the right-hand side of your profile all the keywords that will get you found for that job title.
That's amazing. That is something that I consider myself pretty experienced at LinkedIn, but that is actually something I had no idea about. That's a great little gold nugget right there.
And again, if you were looking for 3 job titles, for instance,
Yep.
operations manager, general manager, et cetera, LinkedIn will spit all of those out and you can save those profiles and those resumes for those job descriptions. Again, when you're customizing for the job, and I do encourage that for folks that are job seeking, customize your resume to the job. It looks a lot better than, here's my barista stuff that I was doing
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Starbucks. And I'm not knocking Starbucks folks. I'm just saying, if you're applying for a tech role, I want to see tech stuff.
Yeah.
You follow me?
That is a question that I want to pivot to though as well is let's just say you don't have a tech background and you're a barista at Starbucks. I mean, how
Yep.
can you realistically like break into tech, or is it certifications? Is it extra projects, or what would you look for?
So it's a both and I know there's lots of controversy in this as well. Again, coming from a tech background, I got out of the military. I had to earn my stripes. There was no tech culture back then when I got out of the military. And so trying to establish some of that and to pivot even into my first job as a tech support guy, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that I tell folks is, yeah, work on your certs. A lot of us veteran folks that have been in the IT industry also know, though, that there's a difference between somebody who has a cert and somebody who has the experience, right?
Mm.
And I want to say that certs are great. I'm a huge fan of CompTIA, for instance, which are vendor neutral certs. There are companies out there that, and I won't name them here, but there are companies out there that some of the certifications that are doing, they're paying billions of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year
Mhm.
to trip you up on those certifications, and it's a business for them. So
Yep.
certs are great. Check into the certs, make sure where they're at. Also, internships on my profile, for instance, I'm constantly sharing posts for internships, apprenticeships. Get in there, get some free time. I got my first job, Ryan, in tech, because I told the person I wanted a job at was, I'll come in here and work for free after my other job if you'll just allow me to hang out and do such and such. It took me 2 weeks and he said, you're hired, right?
Oh,
But
wow.
I offered to give my time for free to get into that and to pivot because I was transitioning out of the military, didn't have any of those credentials. Now the folks coming out of the military have certs and got,
Yeah, yeah.
software developer and cybersecurity forensics and all this other type of stuff. That wasn't happening when I got out. So certs are great. Giving back to the industry would be another big thing that I would recommend. And what I mean by that
Yeah,
is
what do
when
you
you
mean?
take pictures or get new information, share it with your client. A lot of job seekers that I see that are pivoting, teachers, for example, they stay in their lane instead of giving back to the industry with the things that they're learning. I'll never
Yeah.
forget a candidate last year. She knocked out almost all of the Google search and she was transitioning from teaching. And it was amazing. She literally documented that process and that
Wow.
journey all through LinkedIn. And she landed a job because she was like, hey, check out what I'm doing type of thing. So I don't know if I answered your question. It's a combination of everything. It is search. But I will tell you from a recruiter standpoint, if you're a good tech recruiter, search, okay, I can teach somebody how to take a test or they're good test takers.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this live for you and you can share it to give some other folks hope. I failed the PMP 3 times and I failed the CCNA 3 times. I still got into tech.
Yeah.
So it depends how you network, right? Which is where I
Yep.
think you're going, Ryan.
Yeah.
Get around your client.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a certification that should it be like a Google certification if you're wanting to break into into tech, or like what certifications do you like look for? Is it Google certifications, Udemy, Course Hero? There's a ton
Yeah,
out
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. I usually tell folks, and again, probably because I'm biased, CompTIA is the only company out there that is vendor neutral and literally wants to give back to the industry in
there. Okay.
regards to that. And the reason why I picked them, I would even drill down to for 2 reasons. One is, for instance, almost every government agency has a minimum requirement of Security Plus. You can't go wrong with that ever. Second, CompTIA also has some lifetime certs also that can follow you around and set you apart, like Project Plus, Linux Plus, and some of those that are out there. So you don't have to play the certification business game type of scenario.
That's perfect. I think it's a really interesting because certifications are so big. You can do coding courses. There's like a lot of
Yep,
different ways that people can like break into tech right now. And I think certifications are an underrated one, but it is still getting the experience to
it
actually
is.
do it.
It is. Yep.
And we are winding down on time here. I just want to ask like a few more questions around networking. So, what platforms or what are some ways that job seekers, if they are wanting to network with a recruiter, is it going through LinkedIn or like how should someone go about networking?
Sure. So recruiters are everywhere, depending on
Yes.
the vertical that you're in. I would seek those folks out. And the best ways that I've told folks in the past is if you're being diligent and searching for a particular company or particular industry that you want to get into, then find the best recruiters in those industries and see if you can establish a connect room request with them and see if they're open. Hey, do you have any recommendations? Again, a common courtesy of, hey, I really want to get into this industry. What do you know anybody I should be talking to? I point to a lot of people, to people in my network to help them do exactly what you're talking about when they reach out to me. Don't be afraid would be the first thing. Second thing, hiring managers at companies, feel free to send them connection requests as well. They want to grow their networks. They want to fill jobs and positions as well. Don't be ashamed of doing that. A lot of people, I don't know why there's just like apprehension of, oh no, I don't want to reach out to the hiring manager because they're going to be interviewing me. No, it's showing that you're a normal human being and hey, I want to
Yep.
make a connection. This is where I want to go. With my with my current job right now that I have with Mission Box, it was a networking situation, Ryan. 4 hours later, resigning from one company to another, I was being made an offer. And it was all because direct connections.
That's amazing. One of the first episode that we posted here with Joy Benugo, she also that's how she found her like next role essentially was through one building a personal brand, but two just having the connections. Because when she got laid off
Yeah.
from Google and she posted about it, she already had these connections and people were like, "I'll hire you." So
Yeah,
I'm speaking some truth
exactly.
to that.
Right. Ryan, I would add one other thing. There has to be relational equity in the relationship, right?
Yeah,
It's not out of desperation. You're engaging their posts, you're following them for a while.
I like that.
Many times when I'm trying to reach somebody that I appreciate or want to get access to, I'll even in the connection request go, look, there's no agenda other than just connecting, and I want to share your post and see your stuff so I can share it with my network. And it's a warm connection. Who doesn't? What you want to share my stuff? Absolutely.
Yep, yep.
Right.
I love that. And so last question here as we close. What's one thing that you think any job seeker they must get right when they're reaching out to a recruiter and going through the interview process?
Do your research. Do your research on the recruiter. Do your research on the company you're interviewing for. And I'm not talking just about the cursory job description. I'm
Yeah.
talking about dig into the website, go to Duns and Bradstreet, see what their funding is if you're going with a startup, find out who the CEO is. All of those are important things. Do your research. That's my one thing, Ryan. Do your research.
I love it. Well, Derek, you were awesome. Thank you so, so much for joining us. This was a ton of actual advice. I learned a lot about LinkedIn that I thought I knew a lot about, but you taught me a
I
lot
highly
more.
does.
So yeah, thank you so, so much for joining us. You were great to have on.
Ryan, thank you.